Welcome to Sit Downs with City Lifestyle Meet the Partners. I'm Camilla Durand, and we're here today with Dr. Soliman and Dr. Mehta from Thomas Dermatology. Welcome, doctors.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Well, it's a pleasure, and I love talking about skin and procedures, because the older we get, the younger we want to look,
Absolutely.
or the more we want to freeze time. And I'm so glad that we're able to bring to our audience two experts in the skin world. So tell us a little bit about Thomas Dermatology.
Yeah. You want to start? So Thomas Dermatology is one of the big private practices here in town. We have quite a few board-certified dermatologists that work there, and most of us do a mixture of a lot of different things. So we see medical patients, we see cosmetic patients, we see surgical patients. Dr. Mehta and I both see kids as well and adults.
Okay.
So we do quite a lot.
Yeah. So when we don't have any skin conditions, when people say dermatology, I usually go to, oh, great, Botox or fillers or, how can they make me look younger? So what does one look for when they go to a dermatology center like Thomas Dermatology?
Yeah, I think one of the important things is that you're seeing someone who knows how to take care of you at every stage of your life. Because one of the things that we love is creating this longitudinal relationship with our patients, where we can take care of them from when they're young, getting old, whether it's medical issues that pop up like rashes, or it's aesthetic concerns, and they want to continue feeling and looking like their best selves. So finding somebody that has that kind of board-certified derm, which really tells you that that person is going to have the knowledge and expertise at every stage of your life to help you take care of all of the things that can come up.
Kids, what are the main concerns that kids have in the practice? What do you see more of for children?
That's a really good question. So we live in such a dry climate here.
Yeah.
So eczema is so common. So we have all our little kiddos with eczema. We see kids with also common things like molluscum.
Molluscum, what is that?
It's almost like warts, but not quite so. It's a little
okay.
virus that kids transmit to each other. And usually every September when school's back in session, we get an influx of kids who have all been spreading it to each other, and can be quite contagious. So a lot of these kiddos come in for treatment. Also warts, which most people know and have experienced warts before. I think those are the most common things we see kids for.
So much eczema.
So much eczema, yeah.
I don't know why. Someone asked me the other day if eczema was like an autoimmune disease. Is it? Or is it just a skin because it's dry?
Eczema is really complex. So in eczema, there are many different forms of eczema. So that's something that I think can confuse a lot of people. But when we're talking about that kind of inherent form of eczema, there are a couple of things that we know play a role. So part of it is going to be genetics. With that, you can have these defects where the skin wall, meaning your skin is a barrier to keep irritating things out and keep moisture in. And if you have any defects in that wall, it makes it a lot harder. So it's really easy for your skin to dry out, to get more irritated. And then we also know that there's a bit of an auto-inflammatory. So for your skin is just more reactive overall as well. And so in that way, you can kind of think of it as auto-inflammatory, but it's not a true autoimmune condition like some of our other ones like vitiligo or some thyroid disorders, for example.
And it's part of what we call the atopic triad. So there's 3 conditions that usually run quite commonly together. So eczema or atopic dermatitis, asthma, and allergies. And so usually if you have one or 2 of them running in your family, then people are more likely to inherit them. So it makes it a lot more likely.
Okay.
Yeah. I used to have all 3 when I was a kid.
Really?
Yep.
And where did you grow up?
I grew up on the East Coast, like New York and Pennsylvania.
Okay, so it's not so dry there. So eczema is not really just prone to dry climates.
No, it kind of flares up in these dry environments, but anyone, anywhere can have it.
Wow, interesting. Yeah. Very good. And what about cosmetic procedures? What do you guys do over there at Thomas Dermatology?
Yeah, we do so much.
A lot. So cosmetics are, our creative outlet. We love it, and we love customizing it for our patients. We do a lot of injectables, so what you think of as Botox, filler, biostimulatory fillers like Sculptra and Radiesse. We do lasers, we do peels, we remove benign moles. And is there anything else I missed?
Oh, and then all of the energy-based devices.
Yeah.
So some of them are skin tightening, some of them are lasers for sun damage, which we see so much of here. And each laser is kind of appropriate for each patient. So it really depends on your skin type, whether you're skin of color, which lasers are going to be safe. And so it's so important to go to a practice where your provider has that type of experience and has all the tools available to them to make sure it's the right treatment for you.
So you guys have 3 offices currently here in the Valley. Where are they?
So there is one office here in Henderson. We have one office in Centennial and one office on Post Road, kind of close to IKEA.
Okay.
And then we are opening up a new office on Buffalo in a couple weeks, actually.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Buffalo and what?
So it's off of Summerlin Parkway.
Okay.
Buffalo Drive.
I'm very
We are both
geographic.
So
New
it's
to
in
Las Vegas,
Summerlin.
so it's a little bit tougher for
So
us.
it's in Summerlin.
Yes.
That's the general area.
Yes.
That's Summerlin.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah, kind of close to Tivoli, like not too far from
Oh,
there.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Geography is neither of our strong suit.
No.
It's okay. If you guys specialize in making people, be better, feel better, look better, that's all that you guys need to worry about. It's all good. It's all good.
Thank you.
And what sets Thomas Dermatology apart from the other dermatology clinics that are here in town?
Yeah, I think for me personally, when I was coming from New York City, there were so many different types of practices. And one thing I felt like was missing there was just really a place that had like a familial feel, like that old style of practicing medicine where everyone kind of felt like a team. You walk in, you feel cared for. You've known these people for so long. It's a type of place where, you don't have patients that are kind of jumping around and just seeing who's convenient for them. I feel like people there had like long-standing relationships and the staff all knew each other so well and for so long. And so coming in when I was interviewing, that's something that just really stood out to me. And I think that patients can feel that every time they walk through the doors too.
Beautiful. What about you? What do you
So when I was coming here, I interviewed a lot of practices here in town, and there's a lot of great practices out here in Vegas and a lot of really, really good doctors that specialize in different things all throughout the city. I think what stood out to me was, again, the familial feeling. They were, I think the owners, Dr. Thomas and then Dr. Lieberman were just, you felt like you knew them for a long time, and it was like the most comfortable experience. And then I also like that both of us like doing a mix of everything, and they were like, great, you guys can take care of the patients the whole way, from the youngest to the oldest, medical, cosmetic, surgical, and they were really supportive of the way we like to practice as well, which I loved.
The doctors there, so they do multiple things, or do you have doctors that specialize in the cosmetics part of it and the medical part of it? How does it work? How do you guys divide and conquer?
I think it's everyone's skill set. There are some physicians who are just medical and they just see medical patients.
Okay.
I think most doctors do a mix of medical and cosmetic. And then there are some dermatologists or most surgeons who just mostly do surgery as well.
Oh, so you have the surgical aspect of derma as well.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, so skin cancer is very rampant here in Las Vegas, and we have skin cancer surgeons that are specialized in a special form of skin cancer surgery called Mohs surgery, which is done on higher risk skin cancers. And then both Dr. Soliman and I really enjoy surgery as well, but we do kind of the lower risk skin cancers that don't require that special technique. And so we're doing a lot of those too. But the Mohs surgeons mostly like to stay with just Mohs surgery.
Okay. And do the doctors rotate between the offices, or do you get to choose, oh, I live close to this office, so I'm going to stay there?
So, I mean, that was definitely part of, like, the process of, like, figuring out where to work in Vegas. Initially, I think when we signed up, we said we were just going to work in these practices, but opportunity has opened up in different and demand has opened up in different practices in Vegas. So now we find ourselves going all three, and we're happy doing it. So
Yeah, I feel like each place the patients are a little bit different, and that always keeps things like fun and exciting, and
Yeah.
Never a dull day.
Dynamic.
Yeah, never a dull day ever. So,
Ever.
yeah, but it's very flexible. We've been able to kind of like customize our schedules the way it works for us and works for our patients. So it's been really good.
And part of that is working at such a supportive practice as well.
Yeah.
So if I'm a medical patient and I walk into Thomas Dermatology, what can I expect? How am I going to be treated? Can you walk us, everybody that's listening, from when I get in till I get out? What can I expect?
Yeah, so you walk in, you check in at our front desk with our staff, and then we kind of get a notification that you're there. Then one of our lovely medical assistants will come out and get you, and they bring you to the room. They'll make sure that they know like what you're there for, what all you're hoping to talk about. They'll have you get changed if it's appropriate. So for like a full skin cancer screening, you're getting undressed head to toe. Otherwise, if it's just a certain area, etc., they're like our gatekeepers of our time. So our lovely medical assistants, if you tell them that you want to talk about something, they'll make sure that we know. And that's so important. And then they'll come out and they'll let us know. They get us caught up. They usually are taking photos so that when we go into the room, we have a really good idea of what's going on and what you're here for. Then you'll have your visit with us. We will diagnose, evaluate, come up with a treatment plan. And then our medical assistants will make sure that we have your pharmacy on file and that you get scheduled for a follow-up. They walk you out to the front desk, make sure there's no confusion, and then you're on your way.
Yeah.
Okay, and what's the age that we should start taking care of our skin, like anti-aging, so we can prevent?
I feel like you can never start too early.
Yeah, day zero, sun protection, right?
Yeah.
That's what the sun you get in your early years is gonna follow you for decades and decades. So it's never too early to protect your children from the sun, and that's gonna help them for their whole life.
Yeah. I feel like every decade has like a little bit of a different focus. And I think patients, when they come and see me and Dr. Mehta, a lot of times like the first comment they'll say is like, wow, I didn't expect such a young doctor. And I'm like, that's because we take really good care of our skin. We have been religious about this since, day one. And everything we tell you to do, we do ourselves. So the first decade and 2 decades of life are really just sun protection, like Dr. Mehta was saying. After that, I think that's like when you start thinking about skincare products, so like the retinols, the retinoids, the vitamin C's, that comes into play. And then after that is when we start thinking about other things to slow down the aging process a little bit.
Yeah, injectables like Botox, filler, skin tightening devices. People will come in, with a lot of skin laxity is what we call it, and they're hoping that these skin tightening devices are going to help rewind the clock, and unfortunately they're not that good. So getting ahead of it is always the important part.
What do you guys think of then, we see these devices that are out there for sale, the red light therapy, and now there's a combination not only of red light, but red light and microcurrent.
Yeah.
Right? What do you guys think of those? Are they effective? Are they not?
It really depends on the device.
Yeah.
I think we're starting to get some really good data, meaning, as doctors, we rely on studies that are done that help us look at the improvement that a patient can get in a more objective way. And we are having good data for red light therapy, and that is something that I am starting to recommend more and more. But it also matters the quality of the light, the density of the light.
Right.
So it's important that you know which devices. So whenever my patients come in, I always give them a list of ones that are like Dr. Mehta certified or recommended, because it's hard to know. There's so many products out there, and everyone is, kind of jumping on trends and trying to make a buck. But it is important that you're using a substantial enough product to actually get the result that you want.
Oh, so just doing the red light doesn't really suffice. You have to combine red light with a good product.
Yeah, and I tell patients that all the time. Like I get acne patients, and I always tell them it doesn't replace medical therapy at all. It might be a boost, and there is a role for it, and there's emerging data, but the tried and true medical therapy, there's been studies dating back to decades and decades and decades, and that's really the true basis. Everything else is extra.
Well, I'd like to get more personal now with you two. Okay. And because you guys have an amazing background, right? So where did you go to school? Tell us a little bit about your journey, because I think that speaks volumes to who works at Thomas Dermatology. And I think that is one of the things that set you guys apart from the other practices in town.
Yeah. So funny enough, Dr. Soliman and I's backgrounds are very similar. Dr. Thomas, when he interviewed me, he's like, I swear I thought you copied and pasted Dr. Soliman's resume, and I was reading the same one. So Dr. Soliman and I have known each other for many years. We met as medical students in New York, and we were both in love with dermatology, pursuing it, doing research, doing all the work, and we met on kind of that process of getting in. And then once we matched, we actually ended up at sister programs. So we followed each other to Boston initially. We were both at there are 3 Harvard hospitals, and she was at one and I was at another for our intern year, which is like the medicine year that you do before you specialize into dermatology when you graduate medical school. And then she was at Columbia and I was at Cornell in New York City, and they're actually like under the same umbrella hospital system-wise. So we've kind of been like joint at the hip for a while now.
Yeah, and then we both ended up in Vegas, so it's a really small world.
Yeah.
But I think you bring up a really good point. I think people don't really know what it takes to get into dermatology. Dermatology has been one of the most competitive specialties in medicine to match into, along with like plastic surgery, ophthalmology, et cetera, for the past many, many years. So I think a lot of times patients, don't realize the amount of training that it takes to take care of a patient's like full skin from beginning to end. So both of us did 4 years of undergrad. I was at Case Western and in Cleveland, Ohio.
And I was in Cincinnati, Ohio. Yeah. I know. We're really like
joined at the hip.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we were both in Ohio. And then I went to med school at Albert Einstein in New York. And
I stayed in Cincinnati.
Yeah. And then during med school, we actually both did a specialized year of extra research to match into dermatology. So I studied hidradenitis suppurativa for an entire year. And Dr. Mehta?
I studied a couple things, but largely the role stress plays in skin. And so we were looking at that on like a biological level.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then you do a 1-year internship in internal medicine usually. And then after that, you do 3 years of dermatology. And then the most surgeons go on to do 1 more year.
Wow.
Pediatric derm does another year. Derm path, it's 1 or 2 years sometimes as well. So it's quite a lot.
That's a lot of schooling.
Yeah.
It is. And you know what? Looking back on it, I'm happy I did every single day of it.
Absolutely.
Because I think it's really what prepared me to take great care of patients.
It's a huge responsibility.
Oh, yeah, it is. Do you guys have a favorite area? I know you are working like in the medical and cosmetics, but do you guys have a favorite niche that you want to pursue or specialize in? If you can choose, is sometime in the future, what would you work with?
I think I'm more procedurally inclined, so more surgical and cosmetic. However, I love acne. I love medical dermatology. I like all of it. So.
I love acne. Sounds very weird. Just
I
saying.
love acne patients. I love acne patients. Like, I'm passionate about it. It really changes people's life.
It changes people's lives.
From the before and after.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, the impact it has on people's life. Like, people, like, feel uncomfortable, like, leaving their house, like, engaging with social events, like, going to work and, like, just seeing the confidence and the happiness that comes after your acne is well controlled. It's, like, amazing. I love it.
And this is why I love these podcasts and being able to interview different specialties. These are things that you never think about unless you go through that, right? So I can see how acne can be a passion because you're improving someone's life like 180 degrees, right? They can't leave the house because they're embarrassed, and all of a sudden they feel confident and their life is completely changed.
Yeah, it's gratifying, and
so
actually, like, another thing that's really cool about derm that took me a while to realize, what makes dermatology patients a little bit different than, like, say, the hypertension patients or the diabetes patients is, like, they can look in the mirror and see the effects of, like, them following the treatment regimen. And, like, there is, like, a very clear outcome that comes out of it. Like, they can look at the before photos and their after photos and compare. And, like, that keeps them motivated. Dermatology patients are very motivated to stay on top of things.
I love that.
Yeah. So
it's
satisfying
It's
for
so
both
satisfying.
the patient and for us. And then I also love acne because even once acne's gone, unfortunately, sometimes we have some what we call sequela, or like scars or dark spots that are left behind, and then we can bring out like our procedural side and help patients that way as well. So
So like Dr. Soliman, she's more procedural. And what about you?
I mean, we're twins in the exact same way. And I would also say I also love acne. I just love acne, rosacea. I really enjoy treating those. I am also more procedurally inclined. I really enjoy doing my skin cancer surgeries, cyst removals, and then we love our cosmetics days. And that's more of like a artistic, creative outlet for us. There's so much of both art and science that goes into that. So
Absolutely.
those days are amazing too, but I wouldn't trade any of it. I couldn't give any of it up.
I love that. I love how passionate you both are. Really. Does Thomas Dermatology accept insurance? Is it only cash pay? How does that work?
We do accept insurance.
Okay.
I think we accept nearly every
Everything.
insurance plan.
Dr. Thomas is really passionate about keeping care accessible to everyone, and I think it's a really amazing thing. So
Yeah.
Wonderful. And how can we find you? Where would we go to book our first appointment?
So on the Thomas Dermatology website, there's like a pretty easy to navigate patient portal, and you can book anything from new patients, follow-up patients, cosmetic consultations as well online.
you can also find the practice on Instagram at Thomas Dermatology, and then you can also find Dr. Soliman and I on Instagram. I'm at Dr. Dev Derm.
I'm at Dr. Yssra.
I love that. Yes. Very good. Any last thoughts to the audience? Let's say adults that really want to maybe reverse age their skin, look younger. And they're starting now. Like, let's say they're like in their 40s and they are starting now.
Yeah. It's never too late.
Okay.
And then I always talk about the golden trifecta with my patients. So for me, it's vitamin C, sunscreen in the morning, and a retinol at night. And then great moisturizer too. We're in Vegas, it's winter. You need that as well. So those are really the first steps. And it doesn't have to be a big step. I always tell my patients, like, if I give you 3 steps and that's too overwhelming, tell me. Let's start with 1 and let's go from there, right? So if it's just sunscreen in the morning, and that's what you get into the habit of, and then we add the vitamin C, and then maybe a couple months later we add the retinol, that's okay. It doesn't have to be all at once. And if you're overwhelmed or if you're not unsure, come and see us.
Very good. What about you? Any final thoughts, Dr. Soliman?
Same thing, actually. So I recommend all the same things, and it's what I do myself. I write everything out for patients. I tell them, take this, tape it to your mirror, and I'll have you come back like in a couple weeks, couple months. We'll go over it, make sure you're doing everything right. And the cosmetic procedures are so fun and they're so gratifying, but you have to have a really good routine in between.
Right.
Well.
And nutrition, I believe, really helps.
Absolutely.
Right? Lifestyle and nutrition is such an undervalued part of taking care of your skin. Whether it is, focusing on your diet and making sure it's nutrient rich, that you're eating a wide variety. Movement is also so important for the skin. We know that lifting weights helps support the elasticity of skin as you get older.
Even in the face?
Face, maybe not as much lifting weights, but in the body as well. I mean, we have patients who come in, they're like, I don't like the wrinkles around my knees, or I don't like the cell, all of these things. Of course, to some extent, we can't control aging. We can't control genetics to a full extent, but these are all supportive things that we can do.
I have heard about some new substance out there that is making celebrities look a lot younger.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
No, I'm not going to say anything because I'm ignorant. I don't even know.
Are you talking about NAD?
Oh, we can talk about NAD.
Which one are you talking about?
I don't know. I haven't really researched. But
okay.
Exosomes, maybe?
They are getting so much younger.
Yeah.
Right? So what is it?
Well, it depends on which celebrity you're talking about.
And I don't think there's one magic substance. I think that people love to think that there's going to be this one thing that they can do, or this one thing that they can take, or this one thing that they can use. And I don't think that's true. I do think NAD is gaining a lot of popularity.
How effective is it?
The science is really just still not there as yet.
Okay.
We are like hard science people.
Yeah.
So until we see the hard results,
But you see many clinics, med spas and whatnot, using NAD as their driver to bring people in and make you look younger. So how effective is that really?
So NAD, it's really limited to animal research right now, meaning they see that if you give animals NAD and then you measure certain levels of, for example, they see an antioxidant effect, or that ATP, which is a molecule that increases energy, that is an energy-based molecule in our bodies, that goes up. How does that play out for the human, for us? We really don't know as yet. And so I think that, as long as things, we also haven't seen, a lot of risk come from it as well, and that's the most important thing. But just keep in mind that, if you're going to be spending money on a lot of these trendy things, a lot of it that is trendy, we don't have great data to support it as yet. And it may be that in 15 years, we do have that data. And great, you made that investment. It may also be that, a year or two from now, it's an overfad and it didn't pan out. And unfortunately, you've spent your hard-earned money on that. So it's really tough. Yeah.
You mentioned another one. I caught
The
that, Dr.
exosomes?
Soliman.
Oh, yeah.
To Dr. Mehta's point, I think the answer is stay tuned. The research is still coming. So I think exosomes have been something that, has been catching a lot of attention the past probably year or two. And you made a good point about these med spas are advertising these exosomes as NAD, etc. One thing is human-derived exosomes are not yet FDA approved in the United States. So one question is, where is this coming from? And what are these med spas actually giving you? And are there regulations that are they following the FDA's regulations? So it's important to be safe as well, to know what you're being injected with.
Right.
But I think it's all promising.
I've come across some stem cell products. How effective are these stem cell products to really stimulate the collagen, and while you're doing your red light therapy, do they really create that effect, the desired effect?
Again, they're not quite as regulated here in the U.S., and it's hard to compare, brand to brand, and are these human stem cells, are these stem cells that are engineered in a lab, etc.
Okay.
I think it's promising. I think we're getting there, and I think there are other countries that are ahead of us. Korea is one big country where it's kind of revolutionizing that space for them, but we just haven't gotten there yet.
And it might be a stupid question, but it just came to me. So every skin is different. The Asian skin is different than the American skin, than the Latino skin.
Right.
So do all the Korean products, how effective are they for us here in America? Or does that even matter?
I think of differences in ethnic backgrounds in skin, I think more along the lines of, for example, your risk of hyperpigmenting. The aging process, how that changes from patient to patient. But can you use as, for example, if your background is Caucasian, can you use Korean moisturizers? Yeah, you probably can.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I don't think the difference in ethnic skin tones is a barrier to using various moisturizers, etc. But if you are someone with skin of color, both of us actually, we are very cognizant of what kind of procedures we get done, who we go to for certain procedures, because our risk profile might be different than your risk profile.
I'm from Brazil, so I look white, but I'm not.
But you have the pigment in you too. Yeah. And that also comes with trying trends. Something that someone else may be able to tolerate and they don't get too red from, or even if they do get red, they don't run that same risk of getting a dark spot left behind. Yeah. Those things have to be kept in mind too. So I think definitely for skin of color patients, I'm more cautious in terms of, saying, yeah, go for it, try it, see what happens. No, don't do that. We want to see the safety data. We want to make sure you're not creating more issues by trying these new things.
I love this. This is so fascinating. And I want to invite you who is watching today, if you have questions about skin and dermatology, I would love to bring both of you back here in the podcast to answer.
Yeah.
And I think thank you. And I think this is something that we're going to do from now on. If you have questions, topics that you would like to hear more here from City Lifestyle, please send us your questions and suggestions. We will bring the experts, just like Dr. Soliman and Dr. Mehta. Thank you so much for being here today. It's been a pleasure. Any final thoughts before we close this podcast session?
Well, one, thanks for having us. This was so fun.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and to the listeners, I mean, if you have any like skin concerns, come see us at Thomas Dermatology.
We'd love to meet you.
Yeah.
What's the website? thomasdermatology.com?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.